automotive aftermarket retail and automotive service industry is an increasingly busy industry. The professional skills needed to support a fast-moving organization are becoming more critical. Small, outdated shops are falling by the wayside. Professionals in this business are asked to be highly competent in their jobs, fully understand the business, comply with safety rules and regulations, and, of course, be extremely conscious of great customer service. It's a major responsibility. To this end, this program is intended as a review of some basic responsibilities that are required for all professionals in this industry. Certainly, we can't cover all aspects of your job, but your company will provide additional training. We want to review these responsibilities in a step-by-step method, whether you work in sales or service areas. It's your job to know as much about your facility as possible. There are government rules and regulations that must be followed by every business. Compliance with these rules is mandatory and is an obligation of your company. However, safety is much more than following governmental regulations. It's an attitude that you develop in each and every job you perform. No shortcuts, no breaking rules, no thinking that an accident won't happen to you. Safety rules and procedures are common sense and have been developed over the years by investigating and analyzing accidents. Statistics tell us that 85 to 98% of all accidents are caused by the unsafe behavior of employees. Most employees believe that physical hazards in the workplace account for the majority of accidents. History has proven otherwise. Don't take this statement to believe that reporting and correcting physical hazards are not important, because they are, and they are a requirement. Reducing physical hazards is part of your company's safety program, but your attitude and safety behavior are the most important parts of actually reducing accidents and injuries. Generally, people think of sales and office areas as being hazard and accident-free. Certainly, you don't have as much equipment or physical hazards. However, there are almost as many accidents in these areas as there are in service areas. Lifting tires and wheels, if not done properly, can cause back injuries. A nice clean floor reduces slips and falls, but during a workday, there are literally thousands of footsteps that have walked on the floor, and each footstep left residue from the bottom of their shoes. The floor may seem to be clean, but if there is oil, dust, dirt, and other materials on the floor surface, it could be a slip and fall hazard. Diligence in keeping the floor free of oil and other slippery surfaces is extremely important in all areas. Customer safety is also at stake in this area, and customers rarely think about safety when they're shopping. Do tires or wheels ever fall off displays? If they're not properly positioned and are moved, it could happen. Sales and office personnel use chemicals almost every day. They use these chemicals at home and at work. They use chemicals to keep the floors and displays clean. They use chemicals to maintain the facilities, perhaps handle batteries and other potentially hazardous materials. Who cleans the restroom facilities? Is this person trained in proper handling, storing, using, and disposing of chemicals? If you mix bleach with a cleanser containing chlorine, this mixture can create a deadly gas called chloramine. This information would be of value to anyone using cleaners. There is a requirement that your organization establish written plans, policies, and procedures relating to chemicals and to train all employees relating to chemical safety. While we're on the subject, your organization must have a written injury illness prevention plan with appropriate policies and procedures. Employees must be provided training in these policies and procedures. Your company should have written plans and policies on specific hazards, such as office safety, tire service mounting and demounting procedures, chemical and hazardous wastes, and other programs of a specific nature. These other specific programs could include solvents and part washing, compressors, vehicle lifts, proper posting of required poster information, hand and power tool safety, battery use and handling, personal protective equipment, respiratory protection plan, and medical evaluation of persons using respirators, safety record keeping, sexual harassment, drug and alcohol policy and procedures, and others. It sounds like a lot of paperwork, and it is, but it's necessary to meet regulatory standards and to protect employees and your business. No matter what job you perform, there's a safety element related to that job. As an example, let's take a job that only requires someone to work at the computer. Any potential hazards here? Does this person use chemicals to clean anything? Does this person ever lift anything? Does this person ever walk up and down stairs? Does this person know the proper procedures for working at a computer? What's the correct position for the table? Your arms, your legs, screen distance, and taking breaks. There's more to your job responsibilities than just typing. There are many details of each and every job, so it's important to understand your job, how to perform that job safely, and have a safety attitude towards each and every task you perform. Again, a good safety attitude and paying attention to what you're doing is the most important part of your job. 85 to 98% of accidents are caused by the unsafe behavior of people. Safety awareness and taking the time for safety are critical in accident prevention. Before new employees are allowed to begin work, they should be provided a safety orientation training program. To meet the requirements of the law, this training should include the general hazards to which they may be exposed and the basics of your established safety program. This could include clothing and footwear that's required, how to lift safely, personal protective equipment, company safety rules, reporting accidents and injuries when they occur, tool safety, chemical safety, fire prevention, and other basic topics. Additionally, employees should be trained in the specific hazards to which they may be exposed. This could include chemical safety, handling, using, storing, and disposing of batteries, servicing tires, operating machines and equipment, using vehicle lifts properly, and other specific potential hazards. This training should be documented, and this documentation maintained in your records. Keep in mind that video training, if used, is only a tool. All training should be combined with hands-on training and testing to make sure the individual receiving the training actually understands the training. Hands-on training should also be properly documented. There are potential hazards in the service area, but by using safety awareness, knowing your job, and working in a safe manner, these potential hazards are greatly reduced. There's no reason to create a hazard. There is a reason for working accident-free. Housekeeping. In addition to working and acting safely, housekeeping is one of the most important parts of your job. Lug nuts on the floor, grease, shop rags, oil, solvent, automobile parts, wheel weights, battery caps, tools, all these things create a hazard. The objective is to eliminate hazards and have an accident-free work area. Your company should require the use of personal protective equipment in certain areas of the shop. Eye protection is an obvious requirement, but where high noise areas exist, such as around compressors or machinery, hearing protection may be required. When such equipment is required by your employer, it's up to employees to wear it. It's not voluntary or to be worn when you feel like it. It's required when your employer tells you to wear it. Wearing personal protective equipment is required. Part of your responsibility may be wearing gloves and other protection when there's a potential hazard to your hands and skin. You need to know that while wearing gloves when working around rotating machinery, gloves can be pulled into the machine, dragging your entire hand into the hazardous parts. This is particularly true when using saws, grinding equipment, and other similar equipment. Respiratory protection may be required for some jobs. A full face shield and safety glasses are required when using bench or portable grinders. Proper protection is required when welding or cutting. To make a long story short, personal protective equipment can prevent accidents, so when it's required by your employer, it's mandatory that you wear it. In the event you are required to wear respirators, a complete training program will be provided, and you will be required to complete a medical questionnaire to evaluate your health to ensure you are medically qualified to wear respiratory protection. A medical examination may be required, as well as special training in the selection, use, seal checks, fit testing, and other requirements for wearing respirators. Let's now take a look at safety in the tire service area. If a service technician follows appropriate safety rules, tire servicing is a safe job. Technicians should understand that even passenger tires can explode and kill people. This has occurred on many occasions. Some of the reasons include mounting the wrong size tire on a wheel, not properly installing the tire mounting cone on the tire machine, overinflating the tire, standing near the tire while inflating it. Technicians must understand that even passenger tires are inflated to extremely high pressure. 32 pounds of air pressure per square inch is a tremendous pressure, depending upon the number of square inches of the tire. 1,000 or 2,000 pounds of pressure is extremely hazardous. Today's technology reduces the potential for injury, but if the equipment manufacturer's recommendations are not followed, the potential for serious injury is likely. Proper use of the tire guide also provides useful information to avoid using wrong tire sizes for wheels and rims. Proper torquing of lug nuts is a requirement, but how many times do you see service technicians using an impact tool without torquing lug nuts? A torque wrench should be used to properly tighten all lug nuts to the proper specifications of that particular vehicle. Are customers informed of proper torquing procedures? In some cases, lug nuts should be retorqued after driving the vehicle 50 to 100 miles. The Tire Association of North America has excellent tire service technician training programs, and everyone servicing tires, wheels, and rims should be provided proper training. Information posters should be posted in the tire service area to provide appropriate safety information to service technicians. Posting is the first part. The information must be read, and employees must follow these rules for the information to be useful. Using the balancing machine also requires proper procedures. Most balancers have a guard that provides a degree of protection while the tire wheel assembly is being balanced, but it's not foolproof. Follow the manufacturer's recommendations when balancing tire and wheel assemblies. Automotive lifts are labor-saving devices and are safe to use, again, if the safety procedures are followed. Anyone lifting a vehicle with a lift must remain at the controls until the vehicle is lifted to its full position. Tying down or using something to hold the air pressure controls down is unsafe and should never be allowed. Proper maintenance of air compressors and the hydraulic lift systems should be accomplished as required by the manufacturer and records maintained. When servicing shocks or mufflers, technicians should use 2 shock stands. Never use only one shock stand, as this could cause an imbalance of the vehicle and create a potentially serious accident. When you use shock stands, always use them in pairs. If you use portable hydraulic lifts, the safety rule here is to always use jack stands as support. Never get under a vehicle that is supported only by hydraulic lift. Use jack stands as the support, not the hydraulic lift. The potential for a hydraulic failure is too great, so you position jack stands under the vehicle for safety. Service technicians use parts washers on a wide variety of jobs, and the safety rules are not as extensive as for other jobs. Basically, never use gasoline or flammable liquids to wash parts. Most organizations have a parts washer that is serviced by an outside contractor, which maintains the fluid and properly cleans and disposes of chemicals in a proper manner. That said, technicians washing parts should wear appropriate personal protection, such as rubber gloves. The chemical in the parts washer can be harmful to your skin, so rubber gloves will provide protection. Some people may have allergic reactions to the chemical or possibly cause dermatitis of the skin when exposed to these chemicals. If there is a potential for a splash, a rubber apron and face protection should be used. Make sure the parts are properly cleaned and drained or wiped off before leaving the area. to avoid spills or chemicals on floors or other areas. Most solvent has a low flash point, but solvent should be treated as a combustible or flammable chemical. Smoking or sparks should never be allowed near the parts washer. The parts washer itself should be properly maintained and identified with the appropriate chemical or hazardous material labels and signs. Batteries contain lead and sulfuric acid. These are hazardous combinations. Breathing vapors can be harmful, and of course, spilling the acid on your skin or other body parts can be very serious. Follow the battery manufacturer's recommendations and the battery charger equipment manufacturer's recommendations. Always turn the battery charger off before connecting battery charging cables. Always wear proper skin, eye, face, and body protection. When removing or replacing batteries in vehicles, take precautions to prevent back injuries, use your legs as support, and use the proper safe lifting techniques. When jump-starting a vehicle with a discharged battery, follow the proper connecting and disconnecting procedures to reduce the chance of a spark causing an explosion. Never connect both cables to either battery. The ground cable should be connected to the vehicle, not the battery. Some older vehicles have different grounding requirements, so make sure how the vehicle is grounded, either positive or negatively grounded, before jump-starting any vehicle. Whether the company or the individual mechanic owns tools, they must be maintained in proper serviceable condition. Broken, worn out, or damaged tools must be repaired or replaced. Unserviceable equipment cannot be left in your toolbox or on the premises, unless it is properly tagged as defective. One of the more common problems with hand tools is broken handles on screwdrivers, worn heads on screwdrivers, and rounded sockets for socket wrenches. Service technicians become attached to their tools and hate to replace faithful socket sets. If the sockets are rounded or worn out, it's time to replace them. Electrical cords should be inspected for any cracks, cuts, or damaged electrical cabling, electrical plugs, or electrical receptacles. Never use an octopus plug on any electrical outlet to increase the number of appliances that are plugged into the receptacle. Many older brakes and clutch linings use asbestos, which everyone knows can cause cancer. Breathing asbestos dust is hazardous to your health. Proper written policies and procedures must be established to ensure anyone working with asbestos-coated parts has the training and knowledge to properly and safely handle and use these parts. Never use air to clean off brakes or clutch linings or any surface that may have asbestos dust. There are several methods of cleaning, so be sure and follow your organization's policies and procedures. Most companies require the use of respirators. Therefore, you must determine the proper type of respirator that will effectively protect from asbestos dust and that the technician has been trained and medically approved for wearing such equipment. If you're using chemicals to clean asbestos-laden surfaces, then proper disposal of this hazardous material is required. This program has not been exhaustive, and we've left out many areas that may require attention. Slips and falls in an automobile service environment can cause many serious accidents, so proper rules and training should be provided to all employees. The same goes for safe lifting and preventing back injuries and strains. Fire prevention, how to use fire extinguishers, safety containers, flammable liquid containers, bonding and grounding, and much more. Safety is an involved process. It requires time and effort to develop written plans, and it certainly takes time and effort to train people. You may be working in a shop that has never experienced an accident, so you think safety may be a waste of time. Safety is really a matter of protecting people and their health. It's the right thing to do, but let's look at it from another point of view. We'll leave out the pain, suffering, the right thing to do, and all that. Let's look at safety from strictly a legal and liability exposure venue. Let's say you don't have all these written plans and you haven't trained your employees. They're professionals and have never had an accident. What happens if one day a tire explodes and seriously injures a technician? We'll call it a freak accident. Of course, you call the paramedics, After they have provided medical assistance, they may be required to notify regulatory offices of the incident. In turn, regulators may be required to make an inspection to determine the cause of the accident. If you have no formal written policies, procedures, or you have not properly trained your employees, in particular the injured employee, several things may occur. Large fines can be levied on the company. Criminal action may be taken by the local district attorney for failure to maintain a healthful and safe place to work. Company management would be the target of this criminal action. Thirdly, there are always attorneys lurking to bring lawsuits against people and businesses. Normally, worker compensation bars attorneys from filing civil lawsuits for work-related injuries. However, if you have no effective and documented safety program, no written policies, procedures, or training of employees, that changes the whole ballgame. We're just pointing out that these things have occurred in the past, and we strongly recommend you develop and implement an effective safety and training program in your company. Many of you already have accomplished this, but safety programs can always be improved. Use this information to improve your existing program and fill in the gaps of the things you may have left out. Prevention of accidents and injuries is the goal. Your valued employees will be more productive and efficient, and you'll have a much safer operation. Thank you.